Good day, dear friends. Here, in our daily format, we analyze the situation on the front line, review maps, draw conclusions, and make forecasts about how certain advances might impact the overall situation on the front. Today we will discuss the events of last evening and night, focusing on the breakthrough in Kurakhove, where battles are now raging in the city center. We'll also talk about Chasiv Yar, where another breakthrough has occurred, and fighting is now in the city center there as well. Finally, we will touch on the situation in Toretsk. Let's get started. First, a few words about last night's exchanges of strikes. Ukraine struck Voronezh and Belgorod with confirmed hits. In response, Russia launched a strike on the city of Shostka in Sumy Oblast. Reports indicate the strike targeted either a factory or a warehouse, with footage showing a towering column of flames several hundred meters high. Advances in Kurakhove. As I mentioned, let's start with Kurakhove. After several days of relative calm, yesterday and last night saw a breakthrough by Russian forces. The 114th Guards Brigade crossed the Kurakhove reservoir using boats and landed near the grain elevator in this area. During intense fighting, they managed to secure this fortified position within just a few hours. What's important here is the scale of this operation. From the previous positions where Russian forces had established themselves, the distance to the elevator was over a kilometer. This rapid push allowed the 114th Guards Brigade to transfer the fighting directly into the heart of Kurakhove. Currently, battles are ongoing in the city center. Ukrainian forces have concentrated their troops in a small district of high-rise buildings. However, since the city itself is relatively small, unlike Toretsk, where the high-rise district was turned into a strong fortified area, Kurakhove does not offer the same defensive opportunities. Morning reports confirm this. The latest updates indicate that, after securing the elevator, the 114th Guards Brigade continued their assault beyond it. They captured the local market and several of the first multi-story buildings. While these buildings are not true high-rises, most are five-story structures, they are now under the brigade's control. South of Kurakhove. Moving south of Kurakhove, there are also reports of progress. Firstly, the village of Trudovoye has come entirely under Russian control. From there, troops advanced to the river, and as you can see on the map, only a small stream now separates Russian forces from Uspanovka. Additionally, the distance from this position to Dalny, which is also under Russian control, is now just 5 kilometers. All enemy retreat routes are under heavy fire control, from artillery to drones. Russian troops have also reached the outskirts of Yelizavetovka. According to the latest updates, fighting for this village is likely to begin in the coming hours rather than days. North of Kurakhove. Further north, there is progress in the area of Berestki. Ukrainian forces now control only 2 streets in the western part of the village. Unable to withstand the pressure from Russian forces, they are slowly retreating. Beyond Berestki lies the road to Starye Terny, which is very close, as seen on the map. After crossing a hill, the path leads to Starye Terny, which holds strategic importance due to its control over the dam and Kurakhove's northern logistics. Chasiv Yar. Now let's move to Chasiv Yar. For the first time in a long while, Russian forces have made advances within the city limits. Fighting is currently underway in the city center. The most critical battle is happening at the refractory plant, a heavily fortified area. Ukrainian forces are fiercely defending the plant, putting up significant resistance. Nonetheless, Russian troops are maintaining their momentum, continuing the assault, especially with improved logistics. This logistical advantage became possible thanks to advances further south, west of Klishchivka. Here, the 6th Motorized Rifle Division broke through Ukrainian defenses between Chasiv Yar and Klishchivka, securing positions along the Siversky-Donetsk-Donbass Canal. These advances have put Ukrainian defenses in Chasiv Yar under increased pressure, with the city's central areas now becoming the focus of Russian operations. This concludes the overview of the latest developments on these key fronts. As I mentioned earlier, the logistics for positions in Chasiv Yar have been simplified. However, the main point is that this creates a threat to the Ukrainian armed forces garrison in Toretsk. Looking at the map, Russian forces are advancing toward the settlement of Oleksandrivka-Shulhivka. From Oleksandrivka-Shulhivka to Toretsk is only about 8 kilometers. a relatively short distance. However, the critical issue is not the distance, but the cutting off of the supply route for the Ukrainian grouping in Toretsk. Meanwhile, in Toretsk itself, there has been progress for the first time in a long while. The district of high-rise buildings has almost entirely come under Russian control. Beyond this area lies a section of 1- and 2-story houses, which cannot realistically be turned into a fortified zone like the Zabalki district with its high-rise structures. Thus, Toretsk is now being squeezed from two sides. Advances are being made within the city itself and from the north. The question of how long the Ukrainian garrison can hold out in this situation remains open. Returning to the Kurakhove direction. Regarding Uspanovka, the encirclement here is almost complete. Several pro-Ukrainian sources report that if Ukrainian forces are not withdrawn from this area immediately, they will either have to retreat on foot, abandoning their equipment, or face encirclement. We can observe how Russian forces are tightening the noose. Several forest belts and strongholds have already come under Russian control, and Russian troops are now in close proximity to Ukrainian positions. The assault on Yelizavetovka has begun, with part of the settlement already under Russian control. Simultaneously, logistical chains are being tightened, and additional forest belts are being secured in preparation for a breakthrough and the final closure of this pocket. The Ukrainian brigade stationed in Kurakhove has issued a statement that the city will not be surrendered. Reinforcements are on the way, and they intend to hold their ground to the end. It's worth noting that the Ukrainian armed forces generally do not retreat unless they are forced to by circumstances. Orders for withdrawal are rarely given, and soldiers either retreat on their own initiative or become encircled with no physical way to escape. Kurakhove has been subjected to numerous strikes, as seen in video footage. Although the footage quality is often poor, it consistently shows Russian artillery targeting Ukrainian fortified positions, including tank emplacements. Videos also document strikes using FAB bombs. While Ukrainian sources claim that reinforcements are being sent to Kurakhove, the deployment of a large number of troops to such a small settlement, especially with Russian forces controlling much of it and the area being semi-encircled, will not result in a strategic victory. According to statements from the Russian Ministry of Defense, Novoselidovka is now fully under Russian control. It is likely that the surrounding forest belts are also secured by Russian forces. Movement toward Berestki and Starye Turny. Russian forces are advancing toward Berestki, and after securing this area, the next push will likely be towards Starye Turny. Reports from both pro-Ukrainian and Russian sources confirm an assault on the refractory plant in Chasiv Yar. This supports the idea that Russian troops are already in position for this attack. Additional reports indicate that parts of the surrounding forest and a nearby small settlement are under Russian control. In previous footage, we saw the aftermath of heavy strikes on this part of the city. Storming operations are an art that requires significant planning. Based on current observations, it's likely that this part of the city will be encircled from two sides, with an advance from both the forest and this direction. From Siversk, footage shows the destruction of a bridge. Witnesses have shared videos showing the aftermath, with destroyed bridges and questions about how to navigate the area now.